This weekend, we pack our bags for Milwaukee, review the 2023 Midwest Gaming Classic, and learn to appreciate peaches thanks to Jack Black. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andy.
And this is Weekend Rental, episode 149. Well, we're here. We've survived the Midwest Gaming Classic with our families, with injured body parts, with full bellies. How did it fare for you? What did you think? I mean, obviously this is the first year that you've had the totally different experience of the family.
Yeah.
Now be honest.
I would say
be honest.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
It's was a totally different experience when you have almost the whole crew there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say my experience is completely lopsided. I used to be all vendor hall and then do a little of the other stuff, and it was complete opposite this year.
Yeah. It's kind of a unique take, taking it through like in your kids' eyes and just like experiencing it through them. I also think that like out of all years of the Midwest Gaming Classic, like this might have been the one to bring your family, because I don't know that you could really shop at the vendor hall with how many people turned out to this thing this year.
Yeah.
It had to be a record-setting attendance.
I read a story that they were expecting 20,000 people, which is insane.
And believable. I mean,
yeah. That's just nuts to think about, like when that little hotel that it used to be in, and now it's 20,000 people.
Yeah. Well, that's, it's worth noting. It's like we started in the days of like, it was in this Sheraton on the outskirts of Milwaukee. It was a big show then, and it was gaining, but like they hadn't scaled it. And then now to watch them turn it into what they have with that downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin Center is just like every year. I'm just amazed at how many people turn out. And I was just laughing because we showed up at I was there for the preview night on Friday, but we got the whole family in half an hour early because we had the pre-purchased tickets for Saturday, right? So like, I'm just laughing because we get up to the landing and there's like this convention line that runs like 3 deep, and everyone's like following like mindless sheep in the trail of this line that now goes like a quarter mile out of the way, instead of just like being smart enough to realize that like, if you weren't being sheeple, you would just stand exactly where you are in line, because it's going to come back and peel off and you're just going to walk 10 feet to the left to go through the door you're aiming to go through anyway. But everyone's like, no, we got to walk 8 miles this way to go around the Tesla, and then loop through the, Connect 4 thing. And I'm like, well, what are we doing here? You're going to get first in line to save $2 on a like cartridge of NES, like Tetris. I don't know what's happening. So, yeah.
I wasn't there for that moment. I can't imagine what that looked like then.
I was just scratching my head. Like we just stood in the corner. I was like, we'll stand here for 10 minutes. I'm going to get in at exactly the same time as everybody else. And yeah. Well, and then, so I guess it's worth noting that you and I and our oldest sons, well, I only have the one, so I guess, we did the Friday night preview night, which I'd say the Midwest Gaming Classic was the most prepared I've seen them be on a preview night ever.
Yep.
The arcade was probably the best it's ever been. Stern showed up with so many Foo Fighters pinball arcade cabinets that were all amazing.
Yep.
The arcade section, which had been lacking because it seemed to be like nobody's bringing cabs anymore. That was back in full force this year. The guys' games and beer area was triple the space, infinitely more organized. Those guys were ready to go. It was a hell of a preview night. I'd say my only complaint was like there was no real food vendors. Like after a while and you started getting hungry, it's like, what are we going to do? Order from the vending machine, I guess. But
yeah, we had a Pop-Tart from the vending machine. That was our supper.
Yeah. We snuck out like 10 minutes before that like marketplace closed and got like hot dogs at like the vendor there. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you think of that? I mean, I guess
I think
it was cool.
It was the busiest Friday that they've had, I think. Previous years you could walk up to anything that you wanted to play.
Yeah.
And here there was still lines for certain things that even on Friday that were hard to get on.
The Godfather's Pinball, for whatever reason, like good luck getting that.
And the Pulp Fiction one, I never did get on that one.
No, I didn't either.
But yeah, other than that, it was good. I really enjoyed Friday, especially my kid. He really loved it. I think just being able to playing games like at that age, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had kind of the same experience. My son had a really good time. He was enjoying everything. Like, I don't know what his deal is. I think it's because he's like fascinated with like streamers and Fortnite, but like he just thinks like mouse and keyboard controls are like the epitome of gaming, which I've tried to explain to him isn't necessarily true anymore. So like he was totally gravitating towards like all the Quake setup stuff at like guys games and beer. He was all about Team Fortress because they had PCs and mouse. And I was just like, yeah, this is fine, bud, but like we can play this stuff at home. Like, let's go for the arcade cabinets that you can't find anywhere else. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of that. There was more Astro City cabs. So like there was Sonic the Fighters. There was some more Japanese, like a lot of cool Japanese rhythm games that good luck getting to play those. I couldn't.
Yeah.
There's my favorite bowling, which you guys boxed me out of. And then some other guy came and boxed me out of while I was talking to you guys about boxing me out of it. And then that just like all the different pinball companies that show up and show off their prototypes and their newest stuff. And in particular, that Foo Fighters cabinet, I just, as a Foo Fighters fan, instantly got me psyched, like playing those games. And then like, it's just such a fun game of pinball too. Cause it's just like rapid fire, like that ball is coming at you a million miles an hour. There's no table that I've played that's quite got that speed. Like it's just,
Yeah, that's the tilt on that thing's got it's got to have a higher angle because thing is fast.
yeah, it rips. It's just meant to like throw that ball in your face. And it's a ton of fun. I liked, you're just getting the ball in certain positions to like unlock different tour destinations and like have little mini animations of the band and like certain objectives that you have to complete. And I would say in comparison to the more recent stuff where they've done like Rush and Led Zeppelin, I think this is it's a better unique experience and like more indicative of like the band and the quirkiness that the Foo Fighters kind of represent. So it was really cool. I immediately got home and started looking at prices again, and I was wrong. It's not $5,000 for the base table; it's $7,000. And I was like, I can't justify $7,000 and $14,000 for the most expensive one. As much as I love the Foo Fighters, that's it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't get very far in them. So like there's the tour side where you on the right side you go kind of where the van is and you get to go pick a destination.
Yep.
But then there's like a whole alien plot.
Oh, yeah.
That I didn't really get too far into that.
Yeah, it takes a while because you get the ball locked and then he'll like come and attack you, and then it kind of gets into like a multi-ball situation.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. And then I loved on the on the premium table, which most people will probably never get to see or play. It's one of the coolest mechanics I've ever seen in pinball, and it's behind the left side bumper, where if you get into the ball drain, like where it's just going to go in and like kill your run, it's got this pin that pops up. It's like a little plastic cylinder that'll just shoot straight up, which doesn't really do much unless you're aware enough to just realize that like the force of the ball coming down to like drain out of the table, if you lift that flipper up, it'll pop it back into play. So it's like one of the most cool, like free ball, I guess, mechanics, because it's not just given, right? Like you have to actively participate in getting your ball back. It's awesome. I've never seen it. I think it's probably proprietary to this table, but loved it. My son, I tried to explain it to him a million times and he got pissed off at me. I was like, watch me play. He's like, well, I don't care, Dad. I'm like, no, this is cool. And just wouldn't do it.
Huh.
But yeah, I loved that table. That was probably the highlight of the arcade experience for me.
Yeah, if they made anything just for you, that was it.
Nope, that really was it. Yeah, and then opening day with both of our families there and the carnage of the vendor hall. I guess if I'm going to say anything and be a little critical, it's that I think the layout they had the year prior, which you weren't at, where the vendor hall was on the bottom floor, the social gathering room was on like the middle area, and then the arcade was on the top floor. I think that was more all encompassing of the space, and it made it feel like a more cohesive like experience. So having the vendor hall back next to the arcade, while convenient for centralizing people, just kind of like left other parts of the convention disjointed.
Yeah.
And I also felt like the vendor hall this year continued in the trend of we carry more knickknacks and shit than we do actual games.
Oh
And
yeah, for sure.
I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think there's a market for that stuff. And also I think there's less people selling retro games than there were coming out of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Or they're just not getting. It's just not worth showing up to something like this
Right.
when you can just sell them online for more or whatever whenever you want. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's and the amount of like just Pokemon cards and stuff like that has just gotten out of
Right.
hand at these places too.
Well, and like this year, like what blew my mind was like the crazy amount of imports. And I don't just mean like your usual stuff like you'd see like Famicom and like Saturn. Like this was like booths full of PC Engine, full of GameCube, full of everything import. Yep. And it's just like a lot of it I get. The GameCube I don't get because I don't know how many collectors are prepared and have a modded GameCube to read that stuff. I don't think many, and that's not cheap, right?
No, the boxes are cool though.
Yeah, they're cool. But like it's just like there was so much of that. And then I loved that Wada Games was there with their table and there was like never anybody sitting in it at all. So I was pretty proud of everyone for ignoring that.
There was like 3 grading companies there this year.
Yeah, they're all idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to look at almost nothing. I feel like when you go there with the family, I'm just concentrated on like keeping an eye on my kids to make sure that they don't disappear and like aren't in harm's way, which I think brings me to my next point and like why I was probably the most disappointed in going this year that I've ever been is just like I was constantly heads down, right? Like granted, I'm not as active in like the YouTube community, so like I'm not as up to chit-chatting with all the people that I used to be, but like still there's people there that I would like to bump into. This is my only chance every year, and like I'm just constantly chasing my kids around, and I saw nobody outside of Ryan. We ran into him. You'll remember from the Sioux Falls swap meets that Mobile Game World put on. He bumped into me. It's nice to see him. I guess he just showed up there on a whim. Yeah. But like, yeah, he's the only person like I think outside of our main group that I bumped into and talked to, and it's just weird because it used to be the highlight of getting there. So I don't know. It's a weird year for me. Like, I just feel like this might be the year that determines that I don't need to go back every year. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to go back next year because I'm saying that right now. But, I just didn't. And I ran into the guys from Guys, Games, and Beer. I always like talking to them. But again, I'm not posting videos. They're not as into what I'm doing. I'm not catching their stuff as much. And they're busy because they got that whole thing going. So it's like awkward to try and like chit chat with them when they got a million things going on. And I don't know. It's just, I'm not trying to make it sound like a pity party and like, none of my friends talk to me, but it's just like, it's so different now. And then being that I've gotten to so many of these things, like you get so desensitized to the whole experience that it all just kind of becomes like vanilla, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you can relate.
Yeah. The shine definitely wears off on certain things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, me and my son played Death Ball for a little bit, and it's like, yep, this is fun. But
Death Ball was working for you?
Yep.
The cap was always down when I walked by it. That sucks.
Yep. Played it for a little bit. Kid had a blast on it, but it was like, yeah, played this.
Death Ball's a great game. I hope he kicked his ass.
Yeah.
Who's boss?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There was, and you go when you go in the little museum thing, you just don't hang out in there as much as I used to.
Right.
It's just like, yep, I've seen all this, and they're all playing the same games because they always pick the weird ones or the most popular ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like we'd bump into each other and be like all excited to chat, and then our kids are like ADD. Because like normally we'd be like, hey, let's go check out this thing. But then it's like, well, I gotta go follow this guy around. Like, we were both in that position where it's like we want to keep chatting, but it just doesn't work. So it's like this weird, like we're there together, but just sort of like passing in moments in time. And I don't know.
Yeah. The kids are always wanting to move on to the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, like, I still strongly believe that the Midwest Gaming Classic is still like the best retro convention in the country by far, and I think this year kind of continued to prove that. That whole room, they always have a room dedicated to NES homebrew in that scene, but this year they had somebody come in and they set up quote unquote the world of Nintendo. And this guy had like a whole 90s setup, like store shelves, Nintendo Power signs, demo kiosks for the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, the video kiosk that would let you press the button on like the acrylic mat to like play demo videos from the Super Nintendo and Game Boy, and the Virtual Boy. He basically, you walked behind a curtain and you were teleported to like 1994 at a Nintendo set up at any KB Toys or any, and it was just so fucking magical. And I saw things on display that I never thought I'd see again. I saw cardboard displays that I've never seen in my life, and I couldn't get that fucking grin off my face. And it was awesome.
Yep.
So good. It was more mind blowing to me than seeing the Nintendo PlayStation for the first time. And that's not a joke. Like, and he had the cabinet.
The sword?
Yes,
sword was amazing.
The cabinet's full of like box sealed games, like as if he was going to sell you this stuff. Oh my God.
And my kids did not understand
a
bit of it. I tried to explain all these kiosks about how I went to stores and spent all this time on these kiosks, and they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, before YouTube, you had this thing. You press this button and it played like a 30-second video.
Yep.
And yeah, I had like the perfect situation when I was in there, and like my kids were the same way. They didn't give a shit. And a couple of their families came through, and there's this little girl who's probably like, I'm guessing 4 or 5. She just walks in, like turns her head, and like all the guys our age are just like, oh. And she's like, I don't know any of these games. And then like turns around, like walks right out. I was like, yup, you nailed it, kid. But if you were 40, if you were 35 to 45, that was the place. I could have hung out there all day. Give me a lawn chair and a Game Boy and a link cable, and I'm there. Like,
I kind of hurried through it because we were sitting in the corner over by the Game Boy stuff.
Yep.
And my kids are kind of just going crazy. They're looking at some things, but they don't really care. And I'm like looking down at all the Game Boy stuff, and I'm just zoned out on it. And then I kind of get up and I look, and Clint from Lazy Game Reviews is like sitting there waiting to like get in this corner that I'm in, and my whole family is just like taking up this space that for no reason. And I'm like, okay, we better move on.
Yes, you have to bow down to Clint. Yeah, yep. I saw him a little bit there too. He seemed like he was having a good time. You talked to him, or you like, you're amazing, or
no? I just
you're like Goodwill Game Hunts, and then ran out. Yeah, I didn't talk to him either. I just like, I didn't do any of that this year. Like I saw a bunch of people and was like elbow to elbow with them, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm good. I'm all right.
Yep.
But yeah, that was really good. I thought, again, Guys, Games, and Beer, which I've mentioned them plenty. I think their room was excellent this year.
Yep. We bought some gotcha stuff. From those little things.
Yeah. What did you guys get? We got Pokemon. Did you guys get something different? Yeah.
Pokemon, some like Simon Memory thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was a really good show. I wish you went.
I wish you went to told my kids that the Garcade
was free.
Candy machine was free.
How much time did you guys spend there?
Oh my gosh, it was just constant that they would wanting to go back there.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids were a big fan too. Do they have like the free glasses and like necklaces and stuff too?
They had some of that. They had like these LED things you put on your finger.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just thought it was weird that they gave like the Garcade such a huge space and they came with like less shit than ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still cool, but yeah, I don't know.
That's one thing. It used to be like all these, I mean, Galloping Ghosts used to come too and fill up a whole room full of weird stuff.
And Nintendo would be there to hand out tchotchkes. And
yeah. That stuff I kind of miss. You know, there was more of like the weirder, rarer stuff.
Yep. And that, did you notice that the Turbo room was rolled into the Guys, Games, and Beer room this year?
Mm-hmm.
Which was way more cohesive. But then it's like the Guys, Games, Beer room was fantastic, and they moved it further out than ever. It's like, why that wasn't like first thing when you hit that corner, I don't understand. But Yeah, it did feel a little different in like that. Like I feel like the secondary rooms were a little more diminished, and
Hmm.
it's kind of a
Well,
bummer.
a whole room for cosplay, which was like, what are they doing in there for the entire thing? But
Right? Was this a furry convention? Come on. Yeah. Yeah, I yeah, I had a good time. You know, and the fact that my leg was gimped up did not help with my like lack of enjoyment because that
Mhm.
like kind of became a pain in the ass for me. Um, but it wasn't overall too bad. It just like copious amounts of like leg up and icing every night and like in between stuff. Um,
We should say we met this other person there.
yeah, he doesn't talk to us anymore or listen to the podcast or reach out, but like we ran into him and I think somebody reminded me that he used to record with us.
Faintly, yeah, I kind of remember this.
Yeah, what's his name? Duff? No, that's Guns N' Roses. Biff. Biff was there. Yeah, he was there. We ran into him, I guess.
A few
I,
times.
yeah, I had lunch with him briefly. Again, it's the same thing. It's like passing and brushing past, and he was there with somebody he knows from somewhere else. And then we
Yeah.
were all meaning to get a meal together at this episode's sponsor, as always, Doc Smokehouse in downtown Milwaukee, for all your meat related needs. We Doc's apparently has a problem with taking like group orders. We're like, hey, we need a table for 15 people. So then we waited 20 minutes for them to seat us at two tables that didn't seat. So basically, you and your wife and your family got stuck with a couple extra kids at a table, and we were sitting basically on our table with Biff and
With the
his.
adults.
It was just, I was so pissed. It's like, no, this isn't.
Yeah.
Like we could have done this already. We could have had separate tables. Like I don't. And the fact that there was a table literally to the right of me, that
That you
all
could
they
have
would
just
have to do was
joined.
pull one more chair up to, and we all would have been at one table. But no,
Yep.
Docs can't. So Docs. You let me down this year. I got cold potatoes. I got fatty pork. Step it up. Like you're slipping, Docs. You can't take reservations. But yeah,
It's probably the robot. You can't mess with the tables and stuff with the robot.
I don't trust restaurants with robots. Yeah, that robot was just all about bringing those bags up to the front. It was unsettling. But yeah, I got sat next to Biff. He was chatting up my wife, trying to like tell stories about me, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Let's talk about something else. I did find out because I asked his daughter. I was like, let's be honest. He started collecting fish. Has fish just replaced his Nintendo addiction? She's like, yes. He has 15 tanks and has a fish business. My wife's like, you have a
What?
fish business? And apparently he has like this boutique online fish reselling business. It's like fishy fuck boutique. That's not it at all. It's way different. But like he has an online pet store for reselling fish. That's like how insane this man is. He gives up one hobby and immediately dives into something
Wow.
else. It's
Yeah.
so. But yeah, it was good to see him. We got a picture with him.
Yeah.
He pretended to know who we were for an afternoon, so that's a start.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, it was fun. He was saying that his kids were really into Johann Sebastian Joust,
Yeah.
which is a pretty good game, especially in this setting where it's just like getting random people together. If you aren't aware of what it is, it's like a non-visual video game. It's just using PlayStation Move controllers as basically just like recognizing movement, and you have to gather around a space, and it's kind of like a musical chairs situation where you have to make the other person move their controller while you stay still.
Hmm.
And some of them are pretty fun because they get a little bit more aggressive and violent. I want to see a full contact version of this. I think it would be
Sounds
really
great.
fun.
Yeah, I saw some groups playing it. I wasn't really like into what was going aware of what was going on, I guess, but
Yeah.
they were playing it throughout the arcade center, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My kid, there was a thing in the back with uh, foam swords, basically, that if you hit the chest plate, it's just basic fencing, I guess, but they like that.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought they would be more into the cars, but they didn't really care. They didn't give a shit about. Like if I was their age, I would have been blown away if I would have saw like the Back to the Future car and the Scooby Doo
Yeah.
van and all that shit.
That's true. I think the most excited my kids ever got was like the year before we were eating at Doc's and they were loading all those into the convention center. So they
Oh
were just
yeah.
like, oh, the Ghostbusters card, like drove by. I was like, dude, you're going to be like 10 feet away from that tomorrow. But
Yep.
like in the context of the convention center, yeah, they don't give a shit.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so weird too. And then like, oh my God. So, when we met you guys the last time and your son was showing off his sweet, like Halloween grab bag of like Pokemon cards. So it's like all my kid cared about for the rest of the time we were on the show floor, which was like 20 minutes to close. And when we happened upon that vendor, found another one, right? Grabbed the last bag, it's like $15. And then he gets home and he's pissed at me because he's like, it's just like all the same cards. I'm like, well, yeah, dude, it's a Halloween grab bag. It's like the same 4 cards over and over again. He's like, that was terrible. I'm like, you bought it. Don't be mad at me.
It's still pretty good for $15.
It's a shitload of cards for $15. Yeah, but yeah, I
Yep.
could see the disappointment. But
Yep.
yeah, it was so funny. He spent like, my son did nothing but spend money on Pokemon cards. I think he brought $100 and some bucks, but he spent like 80 just buying Pokemon decks. Just crazy. He doesn't give a shit about Pokemon any other time of the year, but
this, yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It was interesting. I kind of always miss sticking around for Sunday like we used to do, and I haven't done Sunday in a couple of years and just kind of like seeing the sales that come up, but I'm just so far removed from the collecting scene and like having the drive. Like the pandemic just like completely broke that off for me. And I have nothing inventoried, so like I never exactly know what I have. Like I'm seeing a couple things I wish I would have bought because I'm an idiot because I didn't document stuff, but I just don't even look for the most part. Like I see those tables of things and like doesn't remotely fire me up. No.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Like, and they're all like very organized. This is what we do. We travel everywhere doing this.
Yep.
Type of people. Terry's probably the lowest, the more just local guy.
Right. Yeah, the most regional dude.
Yeah. And those were the ones that you would get on Sunday, were the people that were just like, I'm here selling my collection or just selling my extra stuff, Yeah,
you just don't run across those tables anymore. Like it just doesn't happen. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and then like, Nate, like, Biff came by at some point and was like talking to my wife, or like I was there and he was like talking to me in front of my wife. He's like, "Do you ever think this will turn back into like a boys' trip?" I'm like, well, I don't know. You're gonna return my like, are we the boys still? Like, I haven't heard from you in 5 months, dude. I was like, maybe, but I don't even know what that would be anymore. Cause like again, like we're just so far. Like I like hanging out with you guys, but like even a day at that convention, even if it was you dudes, like I don't know that I'd be like, let's rally another day. We're gonna get some deals because we're not.
Yep.
Like I'm just gonna sit at Doc's and eat more.
Yep.
Or
go to Chicago and Galloping Ghosts again.
Sure. Or like I guess there's those barcades that are right down there that we've never been to. But yeah, I just don't know. Like the slippery slope is like I brought my kids now, right? Like I guess my daughter is going to be a teenager soon, so she'll probably hate me in another year and not want to go anywhere with me. But my son's got a couple more years, so I don't know.
Your daughter still likes going? Like she enjoys doing the whole,
she loves it. Yeah.
Okay.
She loves the whole like shopping aspect, and then she had a blast hanging out with my wife and doing like the downtown Milwaukee stuff the Friday night when we weren't all together. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Friday, Saturday is about enough. Like my body couldn't take another day anyway, I think.
No. Yeah, if you're serious about enjoying like the history museum and getting hands-on arcade exclusives and like getting game time, Friday the preview night is a must.
Yep.
But just after Saturday and like the influx of people, like I mean, let's be honest, like a lot of people in this hobby, like we're all a little introverted, and like being around that many people, especially post-pandemic, is just exhausting. And everyone,
especially when it's more people every time we go there too.
Yes. And to the credit of the people that put that on every year, I'd say their staff gets better at like handling volume, always having a happy face on, like making it a super positive environment. Even the people that are paying just like the Wisconsin Center staff, just like paying them to like check wristbands. Like those people were all super upbeat and chipper. Like it's a very good vibe. There were some years at the Sheraton where like you almost felt like a criminal if you accidentally turned a corner that you didn't know you weren't supposed to go down. Like you
Yeah.
get like bounced out. Like it sucked. Like that is not like, this is a very positive atmosphere. And
You were kind of a criminal at some of those, so
I did not break any laws that I was aware of. They let me in. There was free beer. There was free subs. What was I supposed to do? Say no? I'm not going to say no. Yeah, I'm probably the reason why the bouncers were a little bit harsh following years. You're not wrong, but I was very respectful even when I was outside of my boundaries.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, as far as the immensity of the convention, they do a very good job of making the entire thing super inviting to everyone attending, and especially families and kids. And that says a lot, considering that thing is just basically chaos. Like I don't know how they pull it together as good as they do. I will say I was a little disappointed this year that there wasn't like the central hub, like food station. You missed that last year, but like the second wing, like the landing wing when you came up, was where they were doing tickets, and they had like a whole like food bar and like eatery area. It was really cool.
Oh, really? Okay.
So there was like Chinese food and like ramen noodles and pizza and subs, and they had that stuff this year, but it was just like in different pockets.
Yeah.
Which is kind of frustrating. There's also like a THC guy. If you saw that guy, his table was pretty dead.
Yeah.
He was trying to tell me about his non-THC cookies for children. I was like, yeah, buy one of them, buddy. Yeah.
Every year I've always said like, oh, I'm going to do more panels, or I'm going to do this and check this out in the schedules. And I never do. Like even this year, like it just never happens.
No. Well, and I got pissed, like looking back on people's videos, seeing some of the panels I missed, seeing some of the musical guests I missed, like stuff that I had no idea that was going on, that I was like, man, I would love to have gone to that. And yeah, there's just so much going on there. And that's the thing, is there's something for everybody. And we're talking largely video games, but there's a whole, like you said, there's the whole cosplay wing. There's the whole dedicated area to just tabletop and tabletop tournaments. If you're any kind of like gamer, geek, nerd, movie, there's no better place to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should touch on, I feel like, Doc's, because we talk every year about how we're just so excited to go to Doc's Smokehouse across from the convention center, because it's probably the best barbecue place on the planet. And I have to say, I'm concerned for your marriage after finding out that your wife did not appreciate the smoked turkey as much as one should.
We kind of had a big fight about it.
Yeah. Are you guys doing okay?
It's there's a disconnect, because I feel like I had to drill the point home that sure, the pork is probably better than the turkey, but the pork is only 20% better than pork from somewhere else.
Right.
This turkey is like 300% better.
You're never going to get better turkey.
Yep. And I mean, she liked it, I think, but she just liked the pork more. And then she got full on the pork and then didn't eat the rest of the turkey. And it was like, I felt embarrassed. Like I didn't, I was going to, put her on a separate tab and say this was.
Yeah. I just remember asking her, I was like, so your argument is that as good as turkey can be, it can never be better than the best pulled pork and ribs. She's like, correct. I was like, you're wrong. No, like, nope, factually wrong. Yeah. And it's funny because like my wife ordered turkey that meal we were out to, and she couldn't finish it. And I'm just like grabbing handfuls of like leftover turkey meat and shoving it in my face before we left there. I was like, no, we must not leave any turkey behind. It's so good. Yeah. Well, at least she recognizes that Doc's is, if it's not for the turkey, which she's wrong again, it recognizes that it is like, I've never had better barbecue.
Yeah. The ribs are awesome.
I saw your son got the ribs. He looked like he was enjoying them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doc's is I hope that place never goes away. I think the one in Madison closed, so I'm
Did it
worried.
really?
I think so.
Oh no.
So I'm worried that
I will say I had not the best experience with Doc's because, like I said, I got cold potato chips,
Mhm.
fresh cut chips, and I got a really fatty portion of pulled pork, which that happens. Like I can forgive that, but like the two of them within a 2 day stretch was not good. Also, I think I touched on the hotel experience with you, like at the end of the show. So we had Saturday, like my family and I took like a minute, like we went back to the hotel for like midday for like an hour just to like recoup, get off our feet. And some dude just like walks into our room. And it was like, they gave me whatever, 303. And then he like walks back out. And I was like, did you hear that? Because I was like laying in the bed, kind of like napping. I heard the conversation and I just kind of assumed it was through the divider wall because we had the rooms with like the doors that like open up to each other. She's like, no, like some dude literally walked in. So then I'm like, you got to call the front desk. Like that, that's a problem. So then they're like, well, hang tight. We're going to come up and talk to you. And they come up, like, offer us new keys. Like, these are the only keys now that work for your room. And like, if there's anything we could do, I'm like, I don't feel like I should be throwing out the things that you should be offering me for free right now. Cause that could have gone super bad. So we're just like Midwest nice about it or whatever. And then the guy's like, yeah, we're not sure what's going on. Like, have you ever heard of the, like, Brian Samsonites? And I'm like, no, what the fuck is that? And he's like, well, your guys' things are merged in our system. So we don't know, like, if you guys like have the same payment info. I'm like, how did this happen? And they couldn't explain any of it. Like finally the next day when I checked out, the guy's like, his best guess was like somebody had called ahead to like set like a group thing with like somebody else. And like the marketing team who they got in touch of outside of the hotel, like did something on an account. And like, just like that shouldn't happen. Like, I've had a lot of weird things happen in hotels. I've never had some dude just like walk in midday into my room. So anyway, I got
the odds that you would even be in your hotel room when that
100%. Yeah. And then it's like, well, then what would have happened? Like, would they have stolen our stuff? Like, would they have thrown our stuff out? Like, yeah, it was super stupid and really kind of annoying on top of already kind of annoying hotel experience. Cause I'd gotten there a little early, like 1:30. Apparently check in there is 4. I think I got there like 2 the year before and they let me check in right away. Well, I'm there with my crippled leg, my knee scooter. And the lady's like, no, you can come back at 4. So we go to Doc's. So it's like 2:30. And I was like, any chance anything's opened up now? Without even looking at the computer or touching anything, she just looks up at me and goes, no. I'm like, whoa. All right. I'm like, all right, I'll wheel my crippled ass down the street, which not really crippled, I guess. It's self-inflicted stupidity. But so then we go down the street, we hang out another place to like 4 or close to 4 and get in the hotel. In the meantime, there was like a text chain started up with you, me, and Biff. And Biff's like, they let me in the hotel at 3. It's like, dude, you're an asshole. Like, I've been hobbling up and down the streets of Milwaukee. And you just got into your room. So then I found out he was also like right outside the elevator, which kind of sucks. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what did you think? I think it was probably as good a show as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's totally solid. I think it's just different now, right? Yeah. I mean, you've had this a few times now.
Yeah, second year with family.
First. Yeah.
It was nice to see Biff again and stuff, but
it's not going to be my last year by any means, you know. It's not like that,
but yeah, I don't know that I'll start doing it every year again, but it was a lot of fun. It was nice. I wish I wasn't like head on a swivel the whole time and would have had a chance to run into more people. I think that's a combination of things. It's like me watching out for my kids, but then it's also the fact that it was just so packed. Like, how would you pick anyone out of the crowd, you know?
Yep.
So I don't know. Still a great show. I mean, you can't be the Midwest Gaming Classic if you're listening and you've never been. If you have the means to travel, if you're farther away, do it. You know, we've been to shows like Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Those things are all great too. I guess Portland's probably a lot sketchier and maybe less recommendable than the last time we went, but I think you'll find that this show outdoes a lot of those things. You know, and there's something to be said for like a PAX where you're there looking at like developers and talking to those people. But like if you're truly just there to appreciate the hobby and the retro gaming and arcades and homebrew, there's not a better place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So you would say your favorite thing was Foo Fighters?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters is the takeaway from the show for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think the thing that I was the most impressed at was actually one of the musical acts. There was like a three-piece band with a guitarist, a drummer, and a saxophone. And there was another guy playing Super
Friday night,
Metroid.
right?
Yeah, he was playing Super Metroid live.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the three-piece band was playing all the music, all the background music. It was really good. You know, I saw a few good boss fights. They really ramped it up at that point, you know, and even like when you got down in I forget what area, but the drummer takes out like a thing of water and he's just running his fingers through the water just to make it sound like it's dripping water everywhere, you know.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that too. It was pretty impressive. I didn't realize they were doing it live. Like I thought it was just like a pre-recorded thing, and then you're like, no, they're like, there's a guy up there playing. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
I don't know if I told you about this. So we were just kind of hanging out in the museum area, and my kid saw Wii Sports, and it's just like, oh, okay, whatever. So he goes over and starts playing Wii Sports, and he's playing baseball or whatever.
Yep.
And this other group of people come over, and there's this old man, probably in his 70s, I would say. He's just there with the family, with the grandkids and all this, you know, just fun, just hanging out with the day. And you could tell he was just like, this is, I don't know, I need a break. So he just like sat down randomly, kind of a couple seats away in a different thing, just to have a break while the rest of the family went off somewhere else.
Yep.
And this guy is just like watching this Wii Sports baseball. He's just really getting into it. He's like, this is awesome. Like, I love baseball. And he's telling them like, oh, you got to throw it this way and you got to do this way. And then all of a sudden he scoots over another seat. How this thing works. And Oliver's like, okay, let's get him. We can get you in. All of a sudden these two are playing together. And he's, 70-year-old man who's never played a Wii before. I don't know. And he just got a kick out of it. And they kept going and going and going. It got to like the 5th inning and we're just sitting there watching. It's like, how do you disengage from this situation where it's like, we need to go? So we kindly
it's like the most wholesome gaming moments ever.
I know. Right. It's like you don't want to say anything, but it was kind of fun. Like, okay, that was a good game. It's time to take off. And the old man you could just see he was crushed. He's like, oh,
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's exactly what those sort of conventions are for, though, right?
Yep. And that's the type of people that were never at
the old stuff.
The old stuff, they've reached out to an incredible amount to just get so many people.
Yeah, it's very mainstream, and a lot of those like smaller groups that are there are just there for that purpose, right? Like they're there just to get people engaged and people excited. And like I had the Friday night too. Like I had my son there, and we we're like over in like the NES maker wing, and like he's sitting with I don't even know where this guy was from, like Finland or whatever, who had developed like it's like I don't know, like skateboarding kitty or something, and like. He's like cheering my son along like at the end of the demo to like finish the boss and like patting him on the back when he like beat him and stuff. Like it's just the kind of stuff you're not gonna get like anywhere else. It's cool. It's very cool. But I think we need to talk about something else very cool. Well, maybe not. Depends on how you land, but there's a little movie that came out.
Yes.
It broke a lot of records. 4. Yeah. It's called this like Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It has Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Jack Black.
No Hispanics though, so I had to boycott it.
Yeah, fucking John Leguizamo. Way to hold it down, brother. Bob Hoskins looks more Hispanic than John Leguizamo. So Mario Brother movie dropped in between us going, and now we actually delayed a couple days because I really wanted to talk about it. I don't want to spoil anything. Worked out. You guys got to see it. Sounds like you got private cinema. Congratulations.
Yeah. Turns out on a Wednesday at 5:00, there's nobody around that is even going to the theater. So
which blows my mind because you don't live in that small of a town. But yeah, it's
No.
crazy. I caught it in the Ultra screen. Came out on the 5th, so I think we're just going to talk about it. So if you're listening, we're probably going to get into spoilers or anything. So if that's not your bag, skip to the end of the episode or catch the next one.
I would say we recommend it. If you are a Mario fan, you should probably see this movie.
Yeah. And let's. Here's my thing. I'm going to get it over up front. If this was an original IP animated movie, it would be completely inoffensive and completely forgettable, and this would be a 5 out of 10, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. It's an 8 out of 10 because it's a Mario movie and it didn't suck, and I get why critics shit on it. There's valid criticisms, but this is still my kids have a good Mario movie. We had John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins and whatever the fuck that thing was. I mean, this is incredible. I'm curious, let's talk about the first third of the film. Right into Easter eggs, right? Like Punch Out Cafe, Wrecking Crew,
Jump
Boss. Man. Yeah. Charles Martinet is there. Jumpman, the Luigi's Mansion ringtone. But then what is your take on the first third, story arc with them starting a plumbing business and having a weird fight with a golden retriever for some reason?
Yeah, that seemed a little bit like it was written as a original thing, right? Like that doesn't really fit.
Right. Anything. It was like, hey, we have this short from Pets that we didn't put in anything.
Yeah. I looked at that dog and I thought, that dog is from Secret Lives of Pets? Am I supposed to know who this dog is?
Right.
Or they cross it over. I think the more jarring thing was Mario and Luigi having a family.
Yes.
And seeing all of their family.
Well, at least their dad was voiced appropriately. I like how he played two characters within 3 minutes of film. Two are voiced two characters. But yeah, it was weird. And then also, can you explain to me why everyone was eating linguine with mushrooms, but then the mom brought Luigi alphabet soup? Was he just Luigi doesn't get the linguine, he gets a cup of soup. He's our baby boy.
Yeah, this movie says a lot about Luigi. I think there's I guess he can have some sort of redemption in the end, even though he kind of didn't deserve it. But
it also says a lot about Mario, which we'll get into later, and that being that Mario sucks ass at everything, and his only redeeming quality is that he doesn't give up, which is not even that great of a redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Mario spends this whole movie not being good at anything. But so back to,
I mean, that's Rocky. It's the same superpower as Rocky.
Yeah.
So it's the Italian gift, I guess.
So yeah, they set up, they're the dynamic. They're the brothers. They can do it all together. They started their plumbing business, and then they're immediately thwarted on their first gig by a dog. They go home to their home, and everyone's making fun of them and their family for being pieces of crap. And then Mario goes to play Kid Icarus on his Nintendo.
That was that part I didn't expect.
No,
I guess the Jumpman arcade was already there, so there's some stuff, but
then the fact that your main Nintendo character is playing Nintendo in his room, and then there's a news flash, because this movie is as shallow on story as you can get. This is probably the most in-depth setup that we're gonna get into. But news flash: downtown Brooklyn's flooding. Mario's hey, this is our chance. They go into the sewers. They end up in the Magic Kingdom or the Mushroom Kingdom. Through some weird turn of events, Luigi ends up in the Bowser-controlled territory. Mario ends up in the Happy Toadstool area with Princess Peach. And that's all you really need to know, because Mario needs his brother back. and he needs help.
Bowser's the bad guy.
And Bowser wants to screw Peach.
Yep.
Peach doesn't want to screw him, and there's the movie.
Yeah, I thought a lot about how this whole movie is the complete opposite of the first one. The first one is like, there is no story to Mario, so we need to make some world. We have to make a huge, gigantic world building movie.
Yeah.
And this is completely on the back of all of just the story of Mario. Yeah. If you've never heard of Mario and you watch this movie, you would be confused about what's going on. It would not make any sense, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just like to have the foundation.
Yeah, the thinnest through line. Like, they're technically plumbers, which they spend way too much time focusing on, and then like they're in the Magic Kingdom. That's all you need to know. You know, the Mushroom Kingdom.
And it's immediately, here's Toad. Now Toad's going to bring you to another character, and then the other character is going to bring you immediately to another character.
Character development? What's that?
Yeah.
We have an action sequence now.
It's not much.
And then it's like, here's the segment where Mario gets his ass kicked. Here's the segment where Luigi gets his ass kicked. On to the next thing. And then like rinse and repeat. I will say I was pleasantly surprised at how inoffensive Chris Pratt was as Mario. The original voice samples from the original trailers were much shittier than what's actually in the movie. He's fine. He's fine. Yeah. I can completely forget it.
The trailers, it sounds just like a Chris Pratt voice. In the movie, he has a different voice. He 100%. Uses a different voice.
Yeah, it's almost like they did it to stir controversy, or they corrected it post complaints. But it's completely fine. Like, I didn't care at all. If anything, I'd say Seth Rogen's like the most jarring one, because like it's fucking Seth Rogen. He's got his dumbass laugh in there and everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So basically,
that fits Donkey Kong.
Yeah. So basically, like once Mario's there, right? Like his whole thing is like, I gotta go to Peach, gotta get help. They do really nothing to explain why she's the only human character in the Mushroom Kingdom, although they touch on the fact that she is the only human character in the Mushroom Kingdom. So she wants Mario's help, but mostly she's just trying to stop Bowser because she knows that Bowser now has the power star, right? Like the invincibility star, and he's coming for them. So she cares less about Luigi and Mario and more is like, I'm going to do this shit. Tag along. It cuts to a montage of like, hey, Mario, you have to complete this obstacle course to come with us, which again, Mario sucks at life, gets his ass kicked, doesn't do it, but she brings him along anyway. And then their only power move for some reason is to go to the Donkey Kong land. Which is funny because they show maps of like this kingdom and like the Super NES Super Mario World thing. Where, like magically they're like the Donkey Kong things in that world didn't happen.
Yeah.
So apparently the only because the Toads can't fight, right? They're Toads, they're helpless. The only army that can help stop Bowser is the Kongs and their almighty army. So they go there. It turns out that the Kongs are also responsible for the manufacturing of all carts in the Super Mario universe. So they have a huge part in bringing you Super Mario Kart 8, I guess.
Yep. They're, that's canon now.
Yep. And then to get control of the army, Mario has to defeat Donkey Kong, in which we spend another 10 minutes of Mario getting his ass kicked because like any good hero, he should just suck at life. And he eventually overcomes that kind of, I guess.
Yeah. And
then it turns into a Mario Kart segment where like everybody's kind of brought back together. Like Luigi's there and like teased and everybody's on the Rainbow Road, which the Rainbow Road is not in space, but is just floating throughout the Mario Kingdom.
It's a shortcut, apparently.
Yeah.
That isn't, it was supposed to be secret, but Bowser obviously knows about.
Yeah, which is like, this is like the fourth segment in a row in this movie where it's like, you just realize that like, it's pockets of text just to lead into action sequences, right? Like there's no real development of anything.
Or references. I mean, even like when they're building the Mario Karts, it is literally like the screen that you
100%
make them. It's
and
it's foreshadowing so much of that stuff.
I brushed past something I really hated. And up to this point in the movie now, we would have gotten 2 80s songs in the soundtrack. for
Yeah.
no fucking reason. When there's like 1,000,001 video game tunes that they could have pulled from. I just liked it very much. Like we need a
There
hero, like that's in everything, right? I
yeah.
just saw that in the second Shazam for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. It's that I don't know why they went with that choice. I will say the instrumentations of
Great.
every other song
Yeah.
of anything Mario is excellent.
But there should have been no reason to license anything
No.
outside of the Mario universe at all.
No.
And they fucked up. And I think I've heard from multiple people that watched have complained about that. Um, but then yeah, like we get to the point where the Mario Kart battle goes off the rails. We find Donkey Kong and Mario blown up, stranded, thought to be forgotten. The rest of the Kongs have been captured. They end up in the belly of the eel from Mario Kart 64 or
Is
Mario
that what it was from?
64.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what I was wondering if I could not place that fish.
Yep. And then Bowser now is in complete control and he's going to unleash his diabolical plan of marrying the princess, extorts her, wedding ensues. Mario and Donkey Kong escape. So now it's the battle to stop the wedding, right?
Yep. Which
And
I loved all the people that show up for the wedding.
yes, let's talk about that. Got King Boo. He showed up.
Yep. The big bomb.
Yep. I like how he sat on like the turtle and like knocked it back and
Yeah.
forth. Yeah, it was like a who's who of villains showing up to the wedding.
Yep.
And then like so one part that I think did not land because they just leaned into it too heavy is there's like a Lumen or Lumi or whatever
Mhm.
that is like, the cute little happy character from Mario Galaxy, but they thought it'd be funny to,
Suicidal.
yeah, they thought it'd be funny to make him like super bleak, like we're all gonna die in here, which is kind of funny when he was in a room full of like other characters. But then like he's full on suicidal. Like
Yeah, he's
they
cheering
continue.
his death.
Yeah, he's like they're going to be sacrificial lambs for the wedding. Bowser's going to sacrifice everyone, including Luigi, all the Kongs, all the penguins, and this happy little star guy. And like even at one point he realizes that he can like slip outside of his cage and be free, but he's so intent on dying and ending his misery that he just lays in there and waits for the lava to overtake him. And it really goes from like kind of funny to just like super fucked up pretty fast.
For a kid's movie, for sure.
Yeah, it's fucked up for an adult. Like for a kid, I can't imagine. I didn't
Yeah,
like
my
that.
kids did not really laugh at any of that, which was even at the very end, he does some singing at the credits or whatever, and even then it was like, whatever.
Yeah, that was also uncomfortable.
I didn't think he was like the main. He's not going to be the minions of this movie, I don't think.
So let me ask you another question. Since we're talking about like laugh out loud moments, were there any for you?
If they were, most of it was like, haha, that's in reference to something.
Okay. Yeah, there were no gutbuster moments. I'm with you. Like this movie plays it so safe that there was nothing that I just laughed out loud at. Like I got like you, I got excited if I saw a reference, but it's just kind of bizarre, right? Like I was in a theater, full theater, a bunch of kids. And I don't think I heard a single kid laugh either. Like I heard kids be like, blah, 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 Mario. But nobody was like,
Yeah.
hee, hee, hee.
Yeah.
So,
and if they were, it was like, like Diddy Kong clapping too long or something like that. And then it's like, I don't know if I'm laughing because somebody was clapping too long or if it was Diddy Kong because they're like, hey, it's Diddy Kong.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like when you think about, I'm not saying they needed to go like full like fart joke or whatever, but like there's something to be said about Sonic, especially Sonic 2 movie, like taking chances and like throwing some adult-ish humor out there that kind of like snappens it up. And I'm sure that, if you look at what else the studio does outside of working with Nintendo, I'm sure they would have added some of that. But I think the Shigeru Miyamoto like must have really kept them on point. I think the wildest step they took was just that like parody duet or like piano solo thing that like Jack Black does is Bowser when he's singing about peaches, but that's the only like goofy
Yep.
side of these characters that you ever see.
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty straight laced to their character.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so the conclusion all kind of happens quickly and uneventfully, right? Like Bowser or Mario and Donkey Kong, who hate each other but now like each other, never really form like a bromance or anything, but like get up there, stop the whole thing. Peach is a badass throughout the whole thing, so she's mostly done everything herself already. Anyway, they prevent the wedding, and then like somehow, in an act of desperation to get a bomb out of the Mushroom Kingdom, they like throw it in a warp pipe that goes back to Brooklyn, like sucks Bowser and his minions through to the current world or the real world. There's a very straightforward and anticlimactic, I guess, battle there, which again
was very reminiscent of the Sonic 1 movie, I thought.
Yeah.
Like a battle happening in the hometown street where it started. You know?
Yep. And then again, like all just kind of focusing back on the underscoring theme of like, we're brothers. We can do everything we want together. Yeah. And then that'll end.
Even though like Luigi was treated like a special child. All the way up until this point.
Come on, and even Mario. Like they treated Mario like he is like they make like Mario is a dumb, bumbling piece of crap for everyone in the Mushroom Kingdom, basically.
Yep.
And then he's like saves the day in this last scene. So that all happens so fast. They shrink Koopa down, so he's like a tiny minion turtle. They give him like the blue mushroom to shrink. Never really explain what happens to the very devastated Brooklyn that they left behind. But they got everybody back to the Mushroom Kingdom. And then the brothers jump down a warp pipe and presumably live there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I don't sound overly excited about any of this, it's because I don't know if I can be. Like, this is not a movie for me. But it is a movie based on an IP that I've known my entire life. And I think they did a good job and a safe job handling that. And I think this is a completely inoffensive film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very good. It is not great. And I would probably never choose to watch this on my own without children. But it's infinitely better than what we had. So it's like, I'm so happy that my kids have this to reference, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, 100% full Mario IP. I mean, when the characters are moving somewhere, it is on something that is from a video game. You know, there is nothing that was invented hardly for this movie.
Yeah.
It just, everything seems so built in and lived in exactly how you would imagine in the games. Even just like that scene where like Donkey Kong, they get away from that fish and he's riding a barrel that would be in a Donkey Kong Country game. Yep. You know, it's just
or Barrel Blast.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's so much of that. It's just like the plot itself was almost Nintendo itself.
Yeah. I'm almost like really curious to see like if they do a Super Mario movie, the game, because I just envision it in my head being like a Mario game that shifts from like 2D Mario to 3D Mario Odyssey to Mario Kart 8, like back to something else. And like, I'm like, I kind of want that. Like, they're not going to do it, you know, but
no.
I think if you were an adult and you're a Nintendo fan, like your highlights here are going to be, well, the look on your children's face for one, but just like the references.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the time to like look at all the background references that are happening and picking up. I know I missed tons of them, but there are just many to be had.
There's like, just so many.
It's so good.
I mean, there's some really deep stuff like the polar bear from Ice Climbers and just like a whole bunch of random stuff that you really have to look at the background to see, you know. Yeah. Even Spike, you know, from Wrecking Crew, like what percentage of people even know that's a thing? You know?
Yeah, I had to explain that one to my wife right away. I was like,
yeah.
Did you see his hat? Wrecking Crew. Yeah. It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, all right.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I can't imagine we're not going to get another one, right?
I think that's maybe my biggest complaint is I think they've spent too much in this one movie. I think they went through everything, that there's not much left. The only
Sure.
I mean, there's some obvious things that they haven't referenced, like the Wario brothers. I don't
The
think
whole
there was
next
any.
movie could be Yoshi's Island, and it's just the Mario and Luigi get shrunk down to babies, and it's all about the Yoshis.
Yeah. They did I mean, there was Yoshi's in here for
They
like 2
show it.
seconds.
It's like a Jurassic Park scene. Yeah.
There was, the babies for like
Oh yeah,
30
they were in there.
seconds,
Yep.
and, yeah, there was one specific scene where, Peach looks up to the sky, and she's talking about how there's
Yeah.
galaxies and galaxies like ours, and we don't know anything about it. It's like,
Yep.
that is sequel bait right there. That
Yep.
has to be sequel bait in that movie.
Yeah, that one was pretty like, aha, that's where we're going next.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's still the whole through line of like, if they go the Mario 3 or the new Super Mario Brothers route, like Bowser could come back with like all the kids, right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
there's that possibility. Maybe he'll be like, I adopted all these shitheads. Come be their mother, Peach.
Yeah. Daisy's not around.
No, that's
She could be
true.
around. I mean, there's Lumas, obviously, so Galaxy.
Yeah. It does make you wonder what they would do with the next one. Because, I mean, there is only so much, right? Like every Mario game has the same through line. Like Bowser's the bad guy at the end of giving you everything. And
Did you see anything Zelda related?
no.
I was wondering if they're trying to keep that separate to have their own Zelda franchise of some other sort.
Well, it could be. I mean, there's still a lot of Netflix talk on that stuff, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because that's the part that's weird, because everything else is kind of like Kid Icarus is a video game, and then Punch Out is all these real fighters, and then,
Yeah.
you know, F-Zero is a racing league, and I don't know. Like, what are the franchises? Are they real? Are they not? Are they galaxies here? Are they worlds? I don't know.
What did you think on the take of like Mario hating mushrooms is like his big takeaway?
That's
Stupid?
I could see why it's in that, like
Sure.
he needs another conflict, I guess.
I guess. Yeah. That was kind of dumb. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they had a lot of power-ups in this movie too. They went
Yes.
through a bunch of them.
Yes. So yeah, good movie, right?
Hmm. And an original Jack Black song, which
Yes.
only Jack Black could do something like that. That's
Peaches, peaches, peaches. Yep. Yeah, did you see the music video, like the live action one? Yeah. I keep sending that to everybody at work because I'm like, I just want this stuck in your head all day.
Yep.
Like it's just the peaches, peaches, peaches meme, and yeah, it's pretty stupid. Um, yeah, I really liked it. I think we were gonna wrap it up on this movie review, but I was gonna ask you, did you watch, because it dropped today, the third trailer for Tears of the Kingdom?
Hmm. That looks good.
Holy fucking shit. That was a mic drop trailer, right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I'm ecstatic that we're 3 trailers in a 15-minute gameplay demo, and there's been no evidence of shrines. That makes me super fucking happy.
There's a lot of dungeon stuff in this one, it looked like.
And I don't know if you caught that, but I think they're hinting at a dark world. Because there's that scene where Ganon's like, "This is the new world," and like, "This, welcome to my new world." So like,
Oh.
I'm hoping we get halfway in and like there's a dark world element and you're like
Mhm.
transporting back and forth. And the amount of stuff they threw, like, yeah, boss battles, dungeons, like the old like legends, and then like that sky sphere thing where like you see that ball rolling in space and like there's that port. I'm like, I gotta get in there. Like I gotta know what's in there. Like, and then that stupid block contraption vehicle thing that like Link's
Yep.
racing towards, like,
To the other thing. Yeah.
dude, everything in that trailer was new. It looked exciting. It looked old school, but like still with that like open world feel. I immediately wanted to get my hands on that game when I saw that.
Yeah, I'm completely impressed. I thought for sure that last thing that they did where it was like you can combine anything, and then there's things in the sky. And it was like, yeah, that's you're explaining. It's Breath of the Wild plus more stuff. Go buy it.
Yes.
But this is whole
And
a
yeah,
lot more to it.
this seemed like there's so much more than we've been letting you know, and we're not playing it as safe as like you thought we were. And yeah,
Was
just
that Zelda at the end?
I think so. Right?
Okay. I couldn't tell if that was maybe that's
Yeah. Well, there
Dark
must be
World
two
Zelda.
different Zeldas, right? Like old
Because she
world
kind of fell.
Zelda. Yeah. Well, so maybe she zaps back into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks fucking good. I mean, there shouldn't be any question of that, but like, just so amped to explore that stuff now, and just like, and seeing traditional bosses, right? Like, I'm not. I didn't see anything of like, those like old school bosses from the first game. So it's like I think we're getting back to that, and that's what I really want.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a few posts like, holy shit, it's the three-headed dragon from the first game. And
Yeah, I saw Chris from Stone Age Gamer posted it, and like he had, the neck thing had like the red lines. He's like, wait, so I need the spider ball to fight this thing, like from Metroid, because it's like the same grid pattern. That's
yeah.
pretty clever. But yeah, holy crap, so excited. And I showed my son, and he was just being a smartass the whole time. He's just like, I don't care. Looks stupid. I was like, you're not getting it. It's like, remember I said I was going to pull you out of school? You're not coming home. Like, Dad's going to stay at home and play this. I was getting pissed. Because I knew.
Can I use a mouse and keyboard on it?
Yeah, he's just being a smartass to like shit on my parade. I was like, screw you, kid. Go to your room. Thought he'd be amped for sure, and he was just a little dick.
Yeah.
It's half my fault.
My kid doesn't, I mean, he doesn't really have that much excitement for any Zelda game really that he's played.
But this is like my son. This is the kid who's like beat it like 17 ways from Saturday and like glitches his way through shrines, and he's a freak.
You think it'd be all about that.
Yeah, I don't get it. But yeah, I did warn him. I was like, you keep this up, Dad's getting a copy and that's it. So
yep.
Yes, jerk. Yeah, month away now, so very excited.
Yeah. How many hours do you think that one's going to take? It seems like a lot.
I mean, it looks like double the content, right, of the first. So,
yes. And I didn't even think about Dark World stuff. That's a whole other world. Then
I really hope it is. Maybe we'll get to see Link as like a giant, like pink suit anime character. Like how good, like if he teleports in like a giant bunny suit on the other side.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Was like the Ganondorf form in Breath of the Wild? I don't really remember. Because they definitely show it in this one.
I feel like through cutscene and like the hieroglyphics, but I don't feel like in the game he ever showed anything other than like a monstrous form.
Yeah, he was just like some big like monster that controls the calamity and all this stuff.
Yeah, because he was Calamity Ganon, right? But yeah, here he seems very human and Mario 64-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be good. So fucking good.
There'll be something that it's going to be weird that they're going to try. Like I could see that combining thing either changing the world and being the most incredible thing possible, or it's the dumbest thing and you always just combine the same things over and over, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say because like the cooking thing was like revolutionary too, right? But like at the end of the day, it was like, here's the 3 recipes you're going to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I could totally see the building going that way. Although did you catch that that clip of the trailer where like he has a rocket, like a jet engine for some reason? Like how does he get that? Like, do you craft that? You find that? I don't know, man. The traversal and like the platforming and like the floating orbs of water, and which I've seen that in another game. I was trying to figure out which game I've played that in. I feel like it was something PlayStation based, but
the movement between things, like that, yeah.
But yeah, all of it just has me so pumped. And I got that new Switch coming, and it's gonna be good.
Every time they show him just like free falling in the sky and then like popping open his thing,
You're just like
I just
Fortnite.
I feel like I got to go get a gun quick. Got to find my gun.
Right. Yeah. I can't see that either without being like Fortnite. Like, where are we dropping
Yep.
in? But yeah, it's bound to be incredible. It just needs to be here.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I gotta say.
I can't wait to play it on the next system, too.
Right. Yeah. When do you think that's gonna happen? Do you think we're gonna hear by next year? I would assume, right?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if after this Zelda thing, they're like, "This okay? This is now we push the new thing." You know?
Do you think Prime 4 ends up getting bumped, or do you think Prime 4 ends up being the last game carryover game and like taking the place of like the Zeldas?
How can anybody even comment on that game or even know anything about it at this point?
I feel like it's probably about far enough back in development that they'll consider pushing it.
Yeah,
And launching with, considering how well Remastered did and Dread, they'd almost be silly not to have that on the next console in the launch window.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got to be closer to anything else, right?
Yep.
And presumably a mainline Mario must be close. So
yeah, that'll be interesting. I wonder if it will be movie related. I think they would be dumb not to have some sort of tie into that.
Yeah.
Ubisoft will make it.
Oh God. Will it be a strategy game or a dance game? Well, I don't know. We covered a lot. It was exciting times.
2 topics, basically. 3 topics.
That's all you need. Unconventional episode, but
yeah.
We're coming back next one. We're gonna have to figure out something fun because we're hitting the milestone of 150.
Mm-hmm.
Kept this thing going a long time. And then I think we got some stuff planned for May that should be fun for listeners. A guest somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Guests. But I think that one's gonna wrap us up for 148.
Yeah. So I want to know if you saw the Super Mario Brothers movie and if you have stopped singing Peaches in your head.
Never stop.
Eventually, it starts going into the President's the USA song for a little bit, and then it goes back to the Jack Black song.
Yep, I watched that music video this week too. Just to
okay.
And then there's the Justin Bieber Peaches song, and then you go back to the Jack Black song.
And then Nick Cage saying I could eat a peach for hours.
Yeah, put those 4 things on loop over and over again.
Anyway, you could find us at weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a message. We're also on Twitter. And until next time, be kind, rewind.
Peaches.